Mark, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right, please stand and say the pledge of allegiance with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I would entertain a motion to adopt our agenda.
I'll second.
Wayne and Bernie. All right, we'll move on to our financial. Oh, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the financial agenda, or financial report.
All right, we will start with revenues and cash receipts. I see revenues are on purple for you tonight. I will start with, let me find mine are all on white. And I like to start with cash receipts first because those kind of speak to our revenues. And it looks like cash receipts are probably on the green, because I know they're sideways. So on the cash receipts, nothing too major to point out, except for the fact that there were lots and lots and lots of payments. This happens at the beginning of every school year. This is every parking pass. This is a bunch of sports fees. Nothing on there that really got me too excited. You'll see $1 million transfer from savings to checking so that we can operate and make our payments. As you noticed, by the way, Miss Cindy Butler, our bookkeeper business manager, is here tonight. And when we get, and Sherry Stack, our CISA 5 aide de camp to Cindy Rutler in her business management, is also with us when we get to the budget. If there's any questions for either one of them, they'll both be here for that part of the meeting, or now. So tonight's a night where I can answer. You'll see a lot of the health insurance payments that came in from some employees that are in retirement. Otherwise, nothing too exciting on the check receipts, but they do inform our revenue. So I'm going to move on to the purple. It's still recording.
That was my computer.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Start.
Under revenues, you'll notice a couple of things that won't be the case next month because we now have our budget finished. Rentals, under revenues, renting musical equipment, we budgeted 800, we got 1,500 because we rented. Band is growing. That's a great problem to have. That just means we're over our revenue budget, but now I'm sure Cindy changed that in the budget in the last few days, and now we're probably right on. So there are a few other things, more interesting probably. There was about a third of the way down, must have been on the second page. Well, these are revenues, so there was other revenues that did come in. There it is, a quarter of the way down. Equalization aid, I talked to you guys about it last month because we knew it had come in, but it was like the day before the meeting. So now you'll see that $636,922, which was an estimate of our equalized aid. Our equalized aid is not finalized as a number until October 15th. That number you now have on your revenue limit worksheet in your board packet. We'll talk about it a little bit later tonight when we take action on the levy. So the only other payment we've received so far is sparsity aid, another $223,000, and some of our federal grants because Cindy's been busy getting all those grants entered. So about $908,000 or 9% of our budget or revenues is in our coffers. That, along with our fund balance, is enough for our district to operate.
So is this all the sparsity aid we're getting? Do we have it all now?
I believe that is all the sparsity aid. Yep, that's a lower aid. And then I'll move on to the long list of checks and end with expenditures. So I know that I highlighted some of the checks. A lot of business as usual. You'll see a lot of purchases, beginning of the school year, teachers are getting all their classroom supplies in place or got them and now they've been paid for. You're gonna see a lot of payments to referees in that 90 to 100 and a few dollars. A lot, if you look at the Fund 50s on page 2, we're paying our food service, some reimbursements from homecoming to students. Looking for, oh, here's one that if Nick were here, he'd love to tell you about. A check on page 3 to the Almond Bancroft School District, as much as we don't like to pay them. They actually had, and I'll tell you the whole story very briefly. They had a different superintendent about 3 years ago that saw the benefits in ed reports of the HMH math program that our district purchased now for this year, that the teachers piloted last year. Superintendent bought all the books, all the workbooks, all of the stuff, especially for the middle high school level, and then left Almond Bancroft. New superintendent came in and said, oh, HMH, no, I really like, but you could probably name the next best one, right? Pick one.
They're using the other one.
Envision.
Yep.
Probably is Envision.
Yep.
So Envision, they're nope, we're gonna use Envision, that's what I like. There they had sitting algebra books, geometry books, algebra 2 books, the real expensive ones. Well over 100 of them, I believe, that they sold to us. Nick worked with their principal through this for $1,000. That is a very cheap set of.
How did you even find out about this?
They were talking about it. This is why it's important to go to those CWC meetings. Nick brought up probably his new stuff, and their principal said, "Hey, I think we got some books sitting around, and we probably saved $20,000." So, otherwise, nothing too exciting.
So you paid for the pickleball reports?
We paid for the black top and the earthwork of the pickleball courts. We still have to pay for the acrylic, whatever that stuff is that they're going to put on top. So we're about halfway there. That was the Washera County payment. And they are lined, and George is going to put the nets up as soon as he gets them. And then they're actually going to do the surface. You can play on it on blacktop, but then the safety surface will be installed next spring.
And how many will have, or how many can play at a time?
24 kids, 24 students, or community members. 24. That's a lot. It's pretty cool. Any other checks that are popping out on people? I just really wanted to make sure I talked about Nick's books. Otherwise, there's just a whole ton of regular payments.
I guess I got 2 again, and as long as Cindy's here, I guess I can ask, on the front page at the bottom there, Safeway, it's just one big check, no breakout
That
for,
one is, that one's just the contract, yeah.
cause it used to be,
Northern Express does break it out, Safeway does not.
Yeah, they break it out, but this is only the contract. You'll see another one on here that'll say like athletic busing or co-curricular.
okay, well, that was what, cause like, you go to the, next to the back page, where, Northern Express, you got, September busing, 4 different things, but no saying what it is, I guess. And I've been bringing it up for the last 6 months, I guess, at different times, because at first Northern Express wasn't that many breakdowns. Safeway was, and it was sort of saying, you know, what it was, but Northern Express wasn't. And my question was, how you know where to really put stuff if it isn't there to just put it there.
I have to
Because-
go through a spreadsheet that they send me, with Northern Express and then break it down. They list each trip that they took. And then Safeway sends me all of their individual bus for invoices. And then I break it up from there.
But my question is, you know, it seems like it's always been that I've noticed on our thing in past years is it's broke down like Safeway was, I think, for a while, but Northern, where you had, you know, like what you pay them per month, what you pay them for the athletics, extracurricular, what you pay them for field trips, what you pay them for excess fuel. so you know, or we could see what that is, or you can just take it to your, I mean, it seems like it'd be easier for you if you had the description there to know where it
And
goes.
I see it on, I guess, in Skyward because of the accounts that they go with. So I don't know how to print out a report for this to make, to see all three of those accounts. Like your co-curricular, your field trips, and then your excess fuel and then your contract.
But, I mean, all you have to do is just add that behind that, right?
There's not enough room. Like, I can put all kinds of things in there, but like, I don't wanna put a book in there, I guess.
No, but I mean,
So this Northern Express expense, the 4 entries, one is the contract, one is excess fuel charge, one is like field trips,
and one,
correct?
and one is extracurricular
Yeah, they
athletics.
just go and get.
And
they
that,
go to
and
different
all you'd have to
levels.
do is add a word or two there, right? Maybe.
I mean, I could,
I'm just
it just adds more time in my busy schedule,
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
once you get it on there, shouldn't that,
It doesn't always stay, I have to redo it every time I pay the bill. You know what I'm saying, like, I have to type it all in every time I pay the bill to break it, I type it in already, so I break it down, you have your field trips, $500, co-curriculars, $300, and so forth.
but,
But it doesn't print that out.
but,
Right, it doesn't print it out, but it's broke down per account when I do the bill.
but when you're putting on your other things, you're supposed to have, you know, what you're paying for, which you do,
Right.
but, and nothing on there flows into, you gotta go back every time to put
Correct.
every individual thing, even
Correct.
like this, it's every
Correct.
month?
I spend about an entire day every week paying bills, 'cause that's how long it takes me. It's
But
just a process.
It just seems like, I mean, some of these are, I mean, just adding a word or two there, I mean, some of these are out. I don't know. It's just, like I say, I like seeing, you know, where stuff's going.
Yeah, and a lot of times the same invoice has the excess fuel, the co-curricular, the field trips, and your bus contract in the same invoice. So I'm putting one invoice number in the system, and then the only other way I can do it is listed in the detail, or like the description, like line by line, but then I'm gonna go redo that again in the account side of it.
But doesn't, when you're budgeting, don't you have a budget for each of those?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
why
it
the
goes to
accounts are
that.
there. Yep, so the account, when I input the account to pull the money from, each one of those accounts are different. So when I pay the bill, say there's 4 different things I'm paying for out of 4 different accounts, cause I'm paying contract, excess fuel, co-curriculars, and field trips. I'll see all 4 of those accounts. Each account will have a different dollar amount in it, on my side. Then when I pull the budget to see, say, how much we've spent for the month, I can see each individual account with each amount that we paid.
But yet she could write one check for the month. And that's all this is a check.
Whereas on the expenditure report, they're broken down, right, on
Detail.
bottom of
Wow.
page 2.
Safeway used to be, and Northern Express wasn't, now this time,
It's flipped.
you know, and like I say, maybe it's little, but to me, it's just a word or two would make, I don't know, whatever.
No, that's good to know. Any other questions? Oh, well, we still have expenditure report. So on the expenditure report, just want to point out, on co-curricular, right smack dab in the middle of the first page, I know you guys notice when something says 110%, that will again next month probably say 100%, those are the Huddle cameras, which, by the way, if anybody's asking, the broken camera from Huddle, which was the problem on the football field, has now been, I believe, shipped after many emails to our friend Dave. And tomorrow, I think, was it tomorrow? Or is it today that he said it's gonna ship? So we will have all the cameras by the end of this week. Awesome, thank you. You'll notice cultural social disadvantage, and I'll just point this one out, so that there's almost 5 up from the bottom of the page. There's nothing in the budget, nothing in the percentage, but in the middle, there's already an expenditure of $12,825. That will happen 3 or 4 times in this expenditure report. It's because the only thing that Cindy had not yet finished with Sherry was title grants. So that means that, like that, for instance, is our payment to our EL coordinator out of Title I. That's just part of her salary. But that hadn't been attributed in the budget to grants yet, because grants are kind of the last thing you do. You know you've got the money, and you can only spend what you get. So there's gonna be a couple of those in here, you'll see that is always the case, that is a title grant. Other administration, you'll see we're at 4,619%. Again, that's going to be fixed in the final budget, and is fixed, but that is a payment to CISA for grant administration. They help with our grant administration, and always have. So, instructional equipment repair, where there's a negative, that's one of the magic of how Cindy has to record things, because that is a payment to band versus technology. We have to list it there as a negative expenditure. I asked her about it today, but if that doesn't make
So
any
you
more,
got money back?
because somebody broke their tuba and then we charged them and they paid us,
Oh,
she has to put it here.
so they overpaid you.
Well, not exactly. They paid us for their, oh God. All right, moving on. Nothing else that I highlighted in there until, until the pickleball courts, which, we did pay the county, and just a reminder, because of the gracious gift of the Lions Club, not one penny of Fund $10 will be spent on those pickleball courts. That will not be there will not be a penny that could have otherwise gone to kids or curriculum or teachers or staff. Not one penny will come out of Fund 10, because our Fund 10 obligation amount will come from the Plainfield Lions. The rest of it will be from Fund 80, so, which is where this is already. Any questions on expenditures or any of this? Oh, finally, sorry, you noticed we were at 9% in our funds received. Did anybody catch the final? And at 16%, or almost 17% of our funds expended. Just a reminder to the community more than anyone, because I know you guys know this, this is why we need a fund balance. This is why we need to have cash in the bank.
Other question I have, I don't know, if this is a point to ask it. I seen where they put out that some schools are getting more aid and some less this year. Are we in which side of it? I wasn't able to get into the.
And you'll see that in the revenue limit, but we received more aid, not necessarily because of anything that happened in Milwaukee or any of the other things. We received more aid because we are not in a referendum this year. So last year, all of our operating budget, that 1.45 million, came from the taxpayers through a referendum. So it came on the tax side versus the aid side. Now, because we put that number in our beginning of the revenue worksheet, our shared costs, we said this is how much we spent last year. Then the state says, oh, given that number, we should probably pay this much. So we actually are receiving a chunk more aid this year because our shared costs were up so much last year. They were up because we received revenue dollars from the taxpayers. And so you'll see obviously then a corresponding drop in the revenue in the levy. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll move on to public forum.
We gotta
Oh,
vote on
yes.
it.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public forum. Does anyone want to address the board tonight? In public forum?
Speak all at once.
Wow. Okay, thank you. All right, the consent agenda, we have items A through H.
We have a problem.
Oh, no. Okay.
If you look at the regular board meeting, you'll notice that Wayne Miller
Yeah, I was gonna
made
say
a
that too.
motion,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't believe I don't know who that is.
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
Are you guys real cousins?
Are you saying your name isn't Wayne?
Yeah.
All
But
right, so
We
the-
can amend that.
So there is
that should be improved.
Yeah. Improve.
So the correction to the previous, last month's minutes.
I'm pretty sure that Jody can go back in either my notes or her notes and figure out
Yeah. It's
whether it
Wayne.
was Jim or Wayne.
Right.
It's
His
Wayne.
motion, and
Alright.
corrected accordingly.
Oh, what's interesting is Wayne Miller made a motion seconded by Jim Miller.
Well, see, now we got different, not 3 Jims, we got Miller's all here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, any other questions, concerns? I would entertain a motion then to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve with the correction.
Are you Wayne or Jim? Do I have a second?
Oh,
Wayne.
perfect. There you go.
Get it right, Jody, this time, who's wired?
See.
I'll do my best.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any unfinished business? There appears to be none. We will move on then to new business. Item A, discussion and action to approve the budget and tax levy for the 2024-2025 school year. Exhibit 24-25-15. I have
And-
one of those.
And the budget is an addendum that was sent to you, I think, yesterday. So if there, once there's a first and a second, I can say things. If we're doing.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Do you need to vote on it?
Well, no, unless you want me to talk about it first.
No, I want you to talk about it.
Okay, so on the revenue limit worksheet, if you notice, if you're able to look at it, you'll notice right at the beginning, that number, 8,127,000, that is our shared cost. It's important because that's how the government decides what we get this year. The really good news, if you're able to see that sheet or we're able to look at it, is our count, and I got chills, our count went from
Yeah.
594 in 2021 to 605 in 2022 to 609 in 2023 to 620 in this September count. And then you add in summer school, which they did our highest summer school count by a good chunk as well. Our enrollment for DPI's consideration, our FTE, is 630 students. Now, that's not all butts and seats. There's open enrollment out, open enrollment in, but it means that number sets our revenue limit. Well, that number in our 3-year average. But our 3-year average is now going up, has been for 3 years. And even if next year, I probably won't get to be as excited about this simply because we have a huge senior class and we have 55 in the senior class. The incoming 4Kers will not be 55, it'll be closer to 40-ish, 42. So we'll probably drop by 10 next year. Maybe, maybe not. But it's good that in general, our 3-year average is climbing again in Tri-County School District. It's also good for our revenue limit. So when you turn to the second page, you'll also notice, thanks in part to the state raising the low revenue ceiling to $11,000 instead of $10,000. The second year of the 413 years of the state promising us $325 a year. No opinions shared. I'm happy with it. Thanks to that and our referendum, our revenue per student is up to 13,713 students. At the low end, dollars per student, the low end of average instead of the lowest 10 districts in the state. It's a great place to be for Tri-County, and we should be grateful. So you take that number per student times our 618 3-year average, you get our revenue limit of 8,475,000. Then you get to add a few things like the prior year open enrollment uncounted stuff. And then I do want to point out to the community, line H, that is line 10H, that $190,000, that is part of our revenue limit cap. That $190,000 is the state taxing you and then turning around and giving that to private schools. So that is money out of your pocket directly into private schools that they simply use us as a funnel for. They use us to collect those taxes from you for private schools. We don't get to touch it or see it. That nearly $200,000 is simply a tax that you pay for private school students.
What private school?
My guess is any private school that people in the district attend, and I'm guessing a lot of the Stevens Point Catholic school systems, I know there's a Lutheran school in Stevens Point, I can't think of any others, but maybe people know some. Well, Wisconsin Rapids Catholic school systems, and a Lutheran
But
school.
it has to be people from our district.
It represents people from our district. And they get, up until this year, they actually got more per student than we got. So last year 2 years ago, we got 10,027. They got 12,500.
Why is that?
Cause that's what the state legislature set vouchers at for private schools. Cause that was that was lower than the state average for public schools, so they didn't look at Tri-County. They looked at the state average and said, well, the state average is about 13,800. We'll give them 12,500 and everyone will be happy. Well, we were getting 10,027 at that time.
It's really considerate of them that they did
Yeah.
it that way.
They didn't take care of that for
Shove
us.
off to the
How
side.
many students does this represent?
You know, I'd have to ask a fellow from the state, but you could probably say, divided by 12,500, 12, 15, there probably are that many.
Say about
But,
15.
but does, the private schools, okay, the parents, some can get assistance if they're below a level, but if they're above a level, they can't get money, so how is this work into that?
I don't think that's true.
That's how it started, Jim, and I was at a Catholic school when that started. And I do believe now it's regardless of family income. Just like your wealthiest families get the same amount of aid from the state as your poorest families. They thought that the private schools should be treated the same way.
So, for each kid would be getting that much, but if somebody's paying for their kids, so they're kinda double dipping sort of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank
So,
you.
yep. Moving on. So that does give us our revenue limit of 8,757,000. Remember, almost 200,000 of that is for vouchers. The October certification of aid was 4,373,000. Last year it was 3,800,000. So the state is giving us an additional $500,000. That's great, because that means our taxpayers are only paying 4,509,000 instead of 500,000 more than that. And that's with our revenue limit and our Fund 80, which covers the cost now of your liaison officer, your 4K wraparound for the community members, your community cardio room, and one other crossing guard, that's right. I feel like there's even one more, but all those costs together add up to the 4K program is probably by far the most expensive of those programs. But I think it's a great program for the community and great for the school. So that is the revenue limit that I'm recommending the board pass tonight, which gives us a levy of $7.02, rounding up, which is 75 cents less than last year. Don't get too excited about that, I'm sorry to say, because our equalized valuation went from about 570 million to 642 million. So our water rose, our levy went down, which means your value's higher, your levy's lower, you end up paying about the same amount. The only good news is, again, she told me to not type this up and send it to parents, because as soon as I type it, it'll be wrong, and now I'm saying it. When I talked with Mrs. Yeager at the county, she said, this valuation should even out what happened last year, which was some were assessed, some weren't, some were revalued higher, some were revalued lower. Now we all should be kind of back on an even playing field. She said that's the should, and you, even though your mill rate is significantly lower, you should be in the same ballpark. There you go. That's what I know about that.
So you're still gonna get bit, it's just not gonna hurt as much.
It's not gonna hurt as much, and eventually you're gonna get used to it, you're gonna go numb in that spot, and then it's gonna be fine. And then all of that is reflected on the budget. You'll notice that the budget is zeroed out again. I know you gotta approve both, so this is very similar to your April budget. it is zeroed out, it is much more careful. A couple of the board members asked me to challenge Cindy to give us a more careful budget. Instead of having, last year, I think we budgeted for like insurance costs, they were about 5 to 10% higher than they came in as. This year, partly because of the timing, which is awesome, Cindy has put in to the dollar the actual cost of insurance for our staff. Now with the HRAs, that's not to the dollar, because we have to be prepared for every employee who takes insurance to take the $1,500 HRA. That rarely or if ever happens, less than half do. We've got a healthy staff. But we also are budgeting, so Michael, the only guy who's finally come work on a roof, has been up on the roof a lot. We put in a healthy amount for roof repairs. Michael is giving me a bid on the elementary gym roof. I know I can't put it in this year, but it's getting to the point where instead of paying him $15,000, $20,000 every couple months for cutting out the damaged portion that's 100 feet long and then replacing that portion, knowing that with sun and heat and cold, 3 years from now we're gonna replace the two seams on the two edges of that portion. We gotta get ahead of this. So we did budget a couple $100,000 in roof repairs, hoping that if it comes, we can wrap our heads around it. So that's the budget in general. So where if there is padding, so to speak, it's in the right place, which is building repairs. We did put in we put in some dollars for a vehicle replacement. Not saying we're gonna do it. That's a decision the board will make probably in spring, depending on what we have left. But I did, we have talked about it might be time for the Silver Bullet to retire, or at least be a second vehicle to get an efficient, like a Ford Focus or something. The bulk of the use of that vehicle is 1 or 2 staff members going to CISA or to Wisconsin Dells. I think we get more bang for our buck. But again, that's not something that I just wanted that in there just in case. Yeah, but it is a balanced budget, which is very nice. So even with the couple $100,000 for roof repairs, building repairs, in there just in case. So.
Any questions?
I guess I'd have just one, on what you started back on the
Yep.
student.
Yes, sir.
Student numbers. On last month's thing, we have that you gave us currently 585 students.
But remember, this is open enrollment in, open enrollment out. That's 630 summer school. Our butts and seats, I believe, was 586. So that's about 4 more butts in the seats than last year.
Okay.
So, and remember, 4Kers only count for 0.6. So that's part of that equation too. The butt in the seat of a 4K counts as less than the butt in the seat of a kindergartner or not. So that's our butts and seats.
But they travel the same miles.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
They just don't take up as much room in the seat.
Does that make a difference in the miles?
No.
Well, if they're later. Any other questions on that? You have a motion and a second.
Any other questions for the discussion? All right,
I would so move.
We've already,
no, we
we
already
already
have.
got the motion, we
We
just
do,
need,
I'm sorry.
she just has to call for
Yeah.
for the vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B, discussion and action to approve the donation of constructed bathrooms adjacent to the outdoor concessions. Exhibit 16 in your packet.
One motion and a second.
We need a motion and a second.
We can discuss it. I think Mark just moved it.
Second.
And Wayne
Mr.
Mills.
Wayne-
Jim,
Yes, sir. Well, I did mention this to the board a couple of times, and I would love to talk more about this, but to be honest, there is the old Jamie is also here tonight, and she is probably much more. Well, she's been here longer, and
Just shut that thing off a minute, Jamie, love hearing.
Jamie number one.
Jamie number one. So, if it would be okay with the board president, I think she could probably answer your questions better than I could.
Sure.
Okay. You just wanna tell them briefly what this is and what it's about, Jamie?
Sure.
Cool, thanks.
We have been discussing for about 5 to 10 years about getting bathrooms out by the concession stand. Pretty much it's just 2 porta potties. Between that, the softball diamonds, baseball diamonds that we kind of just bring in every time. Sometimes it can't come till after we've already started seasons because of the weather and whatever else. And so we thought the idea of getting a concession stand, or not, sorry, a bathroom next to the concession stand would be a great idea for everyone, community-wise, whatever. Being that we host regional, especially for track and sectional, a lot of times conference, there's, 6 to 10 teams that are out there and they're trying to use 2 porta potties and, typically we bring some in, but it's still a lot of work for everyone. But the bathrooms, will all be donated at this point in time, so all funds will be donated to us. I only went on the sketch of like what it cost for the Bancroft Lions. So the sketch that you have on the paper is actually what the Bancroft Lions have for theirs that they attach to the building. So it's 3 stalls with a handicap on both, and then 3 sinks. And then the idea would be that we would put up a gate technically on both sides, so you have access from softball diamonds, baseball diamonds, etc., as well as football, track, whatever. So technically, it would assist 6 out of our 10 varsity sports, adding as well as those sports.
Will it be open, non-sport time for the public, like the threshery or something like that?
I think that could be a conversation down the road.
It's not necessary.
So, but I don't think it is, because I think that between the bathrooms over there. So. And the quote that's on there is obviously from 2017, so I mean, obviously we know that has completely changed. But I didn't really want to, proceed too much farther until I knew for sure that this was.
But it's fully funded from an outside source?
Yep.
No matter what the cost?
Wow.
So the location would be,
So at this point in time, when I had, Eric Beggs was helping me kind of look at it. The location would be on, so if you're looking at the concession stand, it would be on the right-hand side of the concession stand. So pretty much where the porta potties are now.
Okay.
They would have to bring Phil in, because if you notice, there is a big, I don't know what it is, hill, I guess at this point in time.
Would the picnic tables still be there for the?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
it would still fit. So, and actually, there would be a little room to give both ways or the other, or enough room to walk around. So rather than putting, you would have to put 2 doors or whatever, as far as safety reasons, whatever. And that was the size of that we measured out. So, I mean, obviously changes can be made and whatever else. And then we did contact the township, and they said that it was workable and everything should be compatible.
So they can tap into the plumbing and sewer?
Yep.
From the concession stand?
Yep.
It's quite a
From
lot.
the village, from the
Oh, from
village.
the-
property.
The village, the other way on the fence.
It's still over towards the well house.
Correct.
I asked today,
Oh, okay.
you wouldn't have to go that way.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
it's still quite a ways from the softball diamond where the.
It is, and I agree with you. Like, I do think that we probably would have to have a porta potty, but I'll be honest, I've been coaching now for how many years? Let's not even talk about that. But they typically we allow the kids to supervise to use the bathrooms inside, because it gets to be so much as it is anyway. So they are running still from the softball diamond all the way into the elementary. So I mean, not that that's too much shorter of a distance, but I mean, they're going a decent distance to go somewhere to go to the bathroom, so.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to move to approve
The donate, you already moved and seconded.
that before.
Right, we have
Yep.
moved and seconded to approve the donation.
We just.
Oh, the donation, yeah.
Right, we just have to vote on it.
I have one other question. What about heat?
Oh, Are you gonna throw electric heat in those?
So it was gonna be electric heat, they had talked about, I didn't want to, like I said, go fully into it, but the thought was electric heat to keep it from freezing and
And
everything.
then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Was the one at the park heated?
no, it's done now. When it got cold, it's closed up.
They drink it.
Or put it in the freezer.
But we would keep ours open all.
Well, that would be
No.
I mean, we wouldn't keep it open during the winter, no.
You just keep it open during this time of
So
year.
Football season
Or
and
early
then
in the
early
summer.
spring,
And
yeah.
then it would be drained and locked.
All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor to accept the donation of the constructed bathrooms. All those in favor?
I,
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. So on to correspondence. I don't have any. Nobody didn't have any, so
Miss-
none.
Miss-
Yes, yes.
Just for people's information, if you haven't already heard, the Hancock Library was awarded a $450,000 grant. And so the addition is a foregone conclusion, it's just a matter of getting it done now. We do have to do some, architectural changes from the standpoint that there will be a room, a small conference room in the library that will be used for medical conferencing with the doctors. They can use that. It will be used by the county nurse for any kind of clinics or things that they may have. It can also be used for other things, but primarily it was for health situations for this area.
So like telemedicine.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
telemedicine type thing, yes. And that includes this area up here because it's a 10-mile radius from the library. It's a 10-mile radius. Those people in 10 miles can take advantage of that situation. So just for your information, we're kind of pleased.
My wife came home from her meeting pretty excited.
And I see Watoma got funding for their YMCA too.
The
Washington County.
Boys and Girls Club got their funding, and the only thing that's holding that up right now is the county has to raise the old building. They have to tear it down.
Which is where?
The courthouse.
The courthouse, the old courthouse.
Okay, cool.
So that park area will be used. In a way, it's kind of too bad to see the annex to the north have to be raised too, but they both do. The unfortunate thing is and I haven't heard anybody talk about it yet, but there's asbestos galore in the buildings.
Sure.
And so they're gonna have to have an asbestos abatement, and that could be very, very expensive for the county. But that's part of the arrangement. The county takes care of it, gets rid of all the old building, and then the Boys and Girls Club build the new building, which from the pictures and so forth is really, really something.
Who's taking that over once it's built?
The Boys and Girls Club will more or less manage it, but it will actually become a county building.
Okay.
Is it gonna be boys and girls, or is it gonna be YMCA?
Boys and girls. At least that's what I was told.
Cause I read a story earlier, they
They're
were
calling
talking
it the
about
YMCA.
Yeah.
Where did all this money come from?
governor.
Well, yes, but there was a federal, grant was given to, Wisconsin, and it was, I forget how many millions of dollars. And then you applied, and there were, I'm not sure of these figures, okay? But there was like, only, say $100 million, but there were $300 million asked for by all the different groups and so forth. Some of the people just sent in this is where we had an advantage, because Bill Zick and his wife and, the, director spent many hours really diving into that grant and actually making it very precise on what we were asking for. Where a lot of the other grants were simply a blank amount. They just wanted $1 million or 500,000 or something. But they didn't line out all the
Details.
activities, the details, that's right, that we did and what we were going to offer in our, building. Red Granite did not get theirs, their request. They had requested for, it was 500 and some thousand, but they wanted to build bathrooms over by the quarry. They didn't like,
That's some
people
bathrooms
peeing in
for
the-
$500,000.
you know,
Really, we could have
well,
all
there
the
was also,
bathrooms.
Yes.
it was also going to have a kitchen and a few other things. But where ours dealt with more the health, with more of the community type things like that actually that we surveyed that people thought that we needed. And I think that's one of the reasons why our grant was granted.
Well, that's awesome.
There was a certain
Anyhow,
portion, a
pretty
certain
neat.
portion of that grant monies that was specific to library.
There was, and there was parts of the money that
Is that
said,
the same
some of it was
grant?
for library, some of it was this, some of it for, you know, that type of thing. And so we felt pretty lucky though, or pretty pleased that our grant was, and we had one of the more economical grants, really, 452,000. Is one of the smaller grants, but it seemed to impact more people that way.
There was an emphasis too on providing technology to
Yes.
people, so.
Yes.
I know one of the other libraries in the state, River Falls Library, applied for that grant. They asked for $4 million. If you've ever seen the River Falls Library, it's pretty darn nice the way it is now. And they asked for $4 million to show you.
But it just, theirs was just a blank, there wasn't any specifics in the grant application, and that's what I was told. Anyway, that's just for information, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
moving on to reports then. Item A is the Wadsworth Fall Regional Meeting. It's Thursday night in Wisconsin Dells, if anyone's interested in going. All right, Mr. Delicatto.
Hey, there's also a volleyball regional.
Oh,
Thursday
yeah,
night,
that's
so
right. Volleyball is
anyway.
Thursday night.
All right, I already talked about enrollment numbers, just again, wanna say for the record, 600, yes.
Question there.
Yeah.
How year to year to year to year, how has our enrollment,
The last 2 years, it has gotten better, so our.
more in than out?
No.
It's still negative.
It's always been negative, far more outs than ins. I believe, yeah, I think when I got here, it was about 90 out to 30 in. That second year was like 81 out, 30 in. This year they both dropped, which is kind of weird since our numbers went up. But our outs dropped by about 5 and our ins dropped by about 5. So it's about 25 to 76.
So those are new move-ins
Right, which is a lot of what happens. We do have, and on the challenging side, those families can be transient. They can move in and move back out
then.
again.
Oh, yeah.
On the less challenging side, they can be people that have seen how awesome Plainfield, Hancock, Deerfield can be and bought some land or were lucky enough to find a house that was affordable and are sticking around. So, cool. Good question. ACA reimbursement payments from UHC. I sent something to the board and the staff on this a couple weeks ago. Talked with Cindy. Cindy's been talking to UHC. So Cindy has decided to do the hard work and has pretty much done it. Where each employee will get a reimbursement based on what they are. So if they are on a family plan, husband or spouse and family, it'll be about $19 in some sense. If they are employee and children, it'll be about $14, $15. Just what's the third one? Just employee and spouse, it'll be about $10, and just single will be about $6, I believe. So that's how it all works out. So every employee that's on the insurance will get somewhere between $6 and $19 reimbursed on their
Not
On
monthly, just
their
a single.
one payment. Yes, that is the ACA at work. And hey, it's better than nothing. At least somebody is saying to companies like UHC, you can't gouge them more than this much. So yeah. So I just wanted to get that on the record and let the board know that that is the plan. And then finally, we had our first strategic planning community night in this very room. It went extremely well. Jake from CISA 5, Jake Bowl, is running our community strategic plan. He said in a district this size, 10 is awesome. Sometimes we get too many. It gets a little clunky. We had about 15, which was awesome. Detler's Delights catered. I was able to be present for that first night. A lot of good work, a lot of really cool ideas. And then that group will, on the 8th, Nathan will survey all of our high school students and all of our staff to gather input from all of them. Every individual has the opportunity to give input from the staff and from the high school. Then he'll meet with the community group again, and then I believe he will come and meet with the school board, get that input, and take it back to kind of come up with our strategic plan. I'm not sure, I talked to Brittany today, if that happens, if they meet with the board, I'd ask the board to consider having administration there too, just to get that, to have those voices as you're
That
meeting.
can't happen.
Mark says no, sorry.
Yeah, we don't
That
know
we
what
don't
it
know?
is.
Right. So anyway, I think it was a very good first night. A lot of good eclectic group. Virginia Greger, that you all know, was here. Amanda Mitchell was here. Nathan Detler was here. Trying to go around the table. Sandra Villarreal was here. And a bunch of other people. Joanna and Brian Beggs. Sean Tim showed up at the end. Zach Beggs couldn't make it. Block. Chantel Block, Dakota Smiley, just all around good group of people. Yeah.
The thing that I learned at the meetings last January is that needs to fit on the front of a t-shirt.
Yep. Yeah.
You gotta keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Yeah, and it will be shorter and sweeter. Well, at least shorter. I don't know if it's sweeter. All right, that's it for my report.
Okay, thank you.
And Nick, he will be sharing a brief little synopsis. He'll send it out to you. He'll send it to me and I'll share it with you guys later. I gave Nick permission and I think he made a good choice. He wanted to make sure he represented the administration tonight at the soccer regional.
And we do have an update.
Yep.
They tied 1-1 against Adams Friendship in the regional first tonight.
What does that mean?
Jay Meadow scored the goal.
What does that mean?
It means they tied.
So there's,
I don't know.
In soccer land, that's important.
There's some tiebreakers.
yeah, there's
So I don't know if they go off
In their
overall team
schedule.
points for then who makes it to the
We'll
next
find
round,
out.
or if they actually.
That's all.
They usually
Well,
get a
hey.
tip-off at
there's
the end
usually
or
a kickoff,
something.
yeah.
Penalty
They're
kicks.
already, they're already done? It only started at 7.
Well, Jordy Perez told me today that each round is about 44 minutes, and and so it wasn't supposed to be done that quick, but apparently.
Unless they started early. Anyway, cool. Hey, they didn't lose. Woo!
Well, that we know.
I guess Nick's not here, but one question I was gonna ask him during his report,
Yep.
how come we haven't got,
Good question. Kyla Foster, who is still our student rep, will be joining us after they win the state championship. In her words, because she's been so busy with volleyball and with schooling, she apologized. And she's a senior. She's taking a bunch of AP classes. She's a sweetheart, and she's applying to, my God, University of Chicago is I know, her top choice right now. So she said, tell the board, as soon as we win the state championship, she can't wait to come and report and share the trophy with you guys, so.
Okay.
Good question.
And I agree, cause she's a good person, but I also brought up last year,
Having a second or
why
something.
we don't have a second, cause we've always had a second, so that if one's doing something else.
Yeah, I'll mention that to
And
Nick.
it's been, we've had it for a lot of years, and it's good for the kids. it's
Yeah.
Good for us as a board.
Yeah,
We usually had one that was a senior and one was a junior.
so that there was,
Well, sometimes,
Well-
yeah, it depends on who they get, I guess, but.
It used to,
Yeah.
100 years ago,
Typically,
it
yeah.
used to work.
well, in fact, when Kyla started, it was Valerie and
We were up 2-1 at the second half.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not done.
No.
Well, that was probably the first.
Good tease,
Probably
Brittany.
Jess just messaged me.
Oh, okay, good.
That was a good tease, though.
Sorry, I was like,
Now we're even happier.
Maybe
Okay,
the
sorry.
dot should have meant there was more coming.
Okay.
Ellipses at the end, I should have, okay, whoops.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was,
You're good.
okay, good.
All right.
By Alvin Rodriguez. Next goal was by Alvin Rodriguez. Okay.
Ms.
All right.
Lau.
Oh, recent events. So homecoming week was fantastic. Just wanted to give a shout out to the middle school and the high school band. Sounded very, very nice. They sounded amazing. All the floats were great. Everything looked fun. Our students had a good time. We all went over and previewed the halftime show, so that Mr. Kozak had an audience. So that was fun getting all the students over there and being able to see. They were very impressed by I can't think of, I'm forgetting the name, the people with the flag.
The majorettes.
Yes, the majorettes. They were actually tossing flags in the background this time, and every time the whole audience of elementary school, and I think everyone else went, they were very excited. So that was pretty cool. But just homecoming overall went really, really nice. It was a safe weekend for everybody, and I think Nick would say too, it was a good time. Moving into kind of our October. So during our October PD, we had a lot of professional development opportunities for staff on my end. We had a WAGGLE representative here. That is part of our INT Math program. The WAGGLE component is an online component where the students can go on during their intervention block of time for short periods of time. And teachers can send them specific lessons to do or things to repeat or practice that's at their level based upon the skills that they need to gain next. And it kind of levels them throughout the program. So we had an actual live human come to us, and she did a nice job. She answered a lot of questions. We had a lot of other questions that she went back with. We gave her a lot of feedback on things that we could tweak that would make our programming even better for our students. So that was great. We also had moving with math intervention training that day for some of our 3rd through 5th grade staff. That is looking at our what we're doing during our intervention blocks. This isn't an online program, it's actually a hands-on program where the students are learning with the teacher. And so we're gonna be able to kind of do a mixture between hands-on things with small groups while the other students are doing their WAGGLE component. So that was nice. Then for literacy, that same day, we also had our teachers being broken up into other areas that they're working on for intervention. So now we kind of have a really good universal instruction. We have our Wonders, our Haggerty, our Wiley Blevins, that stuff happening as our big overall universal core instruction. And now this is kind of training the teachers on what to do during intervention time. So we had Word Flight, which is a program our 3rd through 5th grade teachers are going to be using with their students. And then Kelly Detler actually is leading the charge for a pilot that is building reading success, and it goes right along with our Wiley Blevins Sadlier program that we're doing for phonemic awareness. So it's like the intervention that goes right along with that main core instruction. So she has 3 teachers that are serving as control groups, and then 3 teachers that are serving as the test comparison groups. And they just had training on it that day. Materials came, and they're going to be rolling that out. And so that might be something that ends up serving our students really well. Any of those programs that we would continue on with, or we might find something better. But it's looking like
those things are gonna be a nice benefit to our students, and it's better than having teachers having to come up with every single thing and look at every single option there is. That way everybody's on the same page. When we come to data meetings, we can talk together about what we're seeing. That takes us into October 8th. A big thank you to the Plainfield Fire Department and Kendra Holland. Kendra Holland helped to organize having the fire department come in full groups of all age students. So some of the students were in the lecture hall, some of the students were out by the fire trucks, and all of them were kind of in different groups so that they could get age appropriate fire safety tips. They all went home with homework to check their fire alarms, things like that. So Plainfield Fire Department has come for at least the last 4 or 5 years that I've been here, 4 years I guess. And I think they came before when Kendra first started, and this year we opened it up to all the grades, not just the littles. So that was really cool. October 15th, we all wore orange for the National Unite Against Bullying Day. That kind of takes us into Miss Manthe and I always go into the 3rd through 5th grade classrooms in the upcoming months, and we do a bullying survey. Miss Manthe has a wonderful program that she uses where she goes in. It's kind of like a little forum. The students fill out what bullying is. She always goes over that bullying is something that's persistent. It doesn't stop. It's over time. It's reoccurring. She also describes the reason that we want to be able to identify students that are victims or things that are happening, where they're happening, so that we can help the students who are bullying and help the students that are obviously the victims of bullying, but more proactive, that we want to be able to help people if they're making choices that they need work on, so that we can be helping them gain those skills that they need so that they aren't doing those behaviors. So that'll start in the next couple weeks here, and then after those are done, we usually sit together, we tally, we go through old school paper copy tallies, we tally all the numbers of the students' names that pop up, we meet with the teachers, kind of give them the overall who came up, what they're seeing. If there are any victims that are identified, Miss Manthe pulls that into her conversations and her small group work with those students. And then we always have a document that we keep track, so that if other reports are coming in, they're going into kind of like a database that we keep electronically, just to make sure that it's not happening in our school, and when it is, we're getting it to stop, or we're at least putting a plan in place so that it eliminates the problem. So that's October 15th. We had a really exciting first Penguin Pride Day. All of our students were able to get little beads for different things that they did, such as attendance. So if they had only 1 day or 0 days gone for the month of September, they were all given a star bead that they got to wear. In addition to the month of September was self-control. So if they had showed self-control, they earned a self-control badge they were able to wear that day. The Spuds football and cheerleaders were given a little football bead for their participation in that for the month of September. We recognized them. Lisa and Dawn, do you remember were there any other ones I'm missing out around there for the month of September? Attendance?
And then self-control, football, Spuds.
Yep.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Those 3.
So the students were super excited, and we're already seeing our attendance is looking good for this next month too. You would be surprised at little tiny badges, and they were excited to get them. And then the students that didn't quite earn them yet, we made sure that we brought the conversation both on the announcements and in the classrooms back to, if I didn't earn my self-control badge yet, my teacher still has it, I'm still working towards it. And there's been many, many students that have come up to me in the hallways, or as they're on the way to the bathroom, where they see me, I earned my badge. So they're excited to wear it now for the next month. They get to wear it on a lanyard, and everybody kind of celebrates them. So if you're walking through the kitchen staff can say, oh, I see you got, 3 of your badges or whatever. So each month we'll add more to it. This month we're working on responsibility, and then based upon their very beginning of the year star scores for reading and math, if they go up for the Q1, which is happening this week, they'll also get a reading badge and a math badge that they get to wear the same day too. So that'll be a badge that's given out kind of quarterly, and then teachers can have individual badges. Mrs. Dean in 5th grade kind of made some individual badges for their AR scores as well. So some of the teachers are gonna do that for something just different for their classroom too. So just a little way to help us keep track of all the good that they're doing, and then they kind of get to wear the little brand tag and show everybody, and so far it was positive. The teachers were phenomenal and really, really got excited about it when we came around and brought everything in, so that was really nice. Let's see. And then today, our most recent announcement, we had our Spuds Pee Wee and junior teams, our Spuds cheerleaders take first over the weekend at their cheerleading competition. There was like 33 teams. They took first in their division, and then they also scored the most overall points for the junior Pee Wee team, so they got to keep the traveling trophy, which is a big trophy. So we were able to have a parade through the middle school and elementary school today. Jesse Kozak came with the high school band, so it was a really big deal. We had grandparents and parents come up and kind of line the halls. All the students lined the halls. The girls were super excited. So that I posted already on our Facebook page. Oh, we scored a goal. Woo, we're out 3-1, Dylan Castillo. So yay, woo. So lots of fun things happening, and it really brings a lot of pride to the school to be able to watch the students celebrate each other. Football players are celebrating the cheerleaders. The students are looking up and saying, I want to be that, I want to do that, I want to do that. So it's really nice to see everybody coming out and clapping for each other, and, you know, also being able to get the band involved with school too. So, the only thing that we really have kind of coming up, we're in the middle of testing this week. Obviously, Act 20 stuff, we're still right elbow deep. Well, I should maybe say forehead deep or more in Act 20 things, but we're hanging together. We're doing it. We're going to get through it. Everybody's been great, and I'm so appreciative of all my staff because they are fabulous and wonderful humans that are just going to go with it, and we're going to just make it work, and it's going to be great. Next thing coming up is our Veterans Day program. I put that on the Thrill Share and our website today as well, and then Jody's gonna put it in the newsletter for me. I also printed off some copies, but unfortunately I left them on our thing. But I'm also gonna put it on our sign, and we'll get that out. So we hope any veterans spread the word. 8 o'clock, they can start eating breakfast. The program will happen about 8:15 on Monday, November 11th. And Carla Murray always helps with that, as does Crystal Frank. So that'll be another fun event.
Any questions?
All of that good feeling and good will and so forth will also translate into academic achievements, and we've really made a plus then.
We're working there. The main thing is that we're focused on looking at the multitude of data coming in, all of the different pieces of data that the teachers are keeping track of. So STAR is only done at the beginning of the year and then quarterly. So Act 20 kind of beginning of year, middle of year, end of year assessments. So we're really looking at all of the things coming in. Where are they with their oral reading fluency scores, which those are going to be done monthly. Where are they at with how they're moving in their math, how they're moving in their reading. And, you know, those aren't a one-time score like the report card, which has changed calculations over the years. They're able to really predict a more broad picture of how we're doing. And speaking from where we started 4 years ago or before, kind of coming in off of COVID to where we are now, just the level of student understanding, I think, has really increased, and engagement has increased too. So we're still working on it, but over time, those things will go up.
So how many kids did you have participate in the cheerleader, from what grade to what grade?
So the junior Pee-wees are, okay, so the Pee-wees are K2.
No, junior Pee-wee is 3,
Oh,
3 and 4.
Yeah, junior Pee-wee is
Pee-wee
3,
is
4.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
That's
They-
grade
no, 5,
levels
6,
or
7, 8.
age?
8 grades.
Yes.
Oh.
Grades.
Yes.
Believe me, I'm still involved, and it's been since Elizabeth was in 4th grade. So.
Thank you.
Wow.
Correct me, because
Yeah.
well, you know what? As I was thinking today too, my little kids that started with us as kindergartners were there, and I'm like, oh gosh, that had been down kindergarten, but now I'm like, no, they're not there.
It's 3, 4, and then 4, 5, or 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8.
And let's see. So we had about, I would say 16 or 17 girls I read off on our last month's announcement. So I think we had like 16, 17 girls, but it's between, there were additional students from Almond because Spuds is combined. So from Almond Bancroft, then there was like another 6, I think. that were on the team, but
Cool.
you'll see in the picture on
number.
Facebook, it's a pretty big group of girls, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes, I have one more question.
Ready?
In our packet, we got a list of
Students, yeah.
students, 18 of them. Now, are these students who have academic deficiencies that they're taking an, or what?
No, that was for the consent agenda, so that was your action to approve the consenting that they could take, that they could apply for these courses for either early college credits
Oh,
or start college now.
oh,
And because, and Jody and I hope wisely, we removed the student name, because what if that was your niece
no.
and you said no,
That's
or
what the SCN is
start college now?
start college now or the early.
So those are
early
all the
college.
courses that they're
Credit
applying for. They won't take them all.
CCP?
That's early college
Early
credit
college
program.
credit program.
One is for college credit, one is for mid-state, and that's all new since your time. And the new law that we have to approve up to 18 credits per student, by state law. So the only thing we have to watch for is it an exact duplicate of a course that we offer? And
That can't be.
that cannot be. But Emily and Nick kind of weed those out anyway.
Okay, so these courses that these students are taking are over and above what we require here.
That's right. For which they will leave our district with college credit, which is pretty
Some of
awesome.
them quite significant.
Yes.
Yeah.
There will be many children who will finish college in 3 or 3.5 years
It's
because of
amazing how many,
this.
it's amazing how many students graduate college in 3 or 3.5 years.
Or double major in 4.
Yeah.
Where just 10 years ago, people were taking 5 or 6 years just to get one major.
For sure.
Yeah, good question. I'm glad you asked that, so we could brag about it. It's pretty awesome that our kids
I
are doing
do
it.
think, I do agree, I mean, when you've got 18 kids, that are these do not have to all be seniors.
They don't, but they are predominantly juniors and seniors.
Juniors and seniors.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could, freshmen are legally can apply for it.
So, but of the 18 here, I would suspect that most of them are seniors.
Yeah, I'd go about 12 and 6. 12 seniors, 6 juniors, about what
You said the maximum is how many?
18 credits.
So the one's got 19?
No, they're not taking all those courses.
They
They're
just applied.
they're applying for them, and then whatever ends up actually fitting in their schedule, they will not be taking all those courses. But 18 is the minimum, not the maximum. 18 is the minimum. I know many school districts will cover the cost of more than 18 because they think it's so good for their kids.
So none of them are taking this semester, just the spring semester?
I don't know. That answer I don't. Nope, Jamie's nodding, saying, yeah.
What?
There's probably at least 12 of that, not more they're taking.
And those were approved last April.
This semester.
Right.
So these are for the spring, I guess.
I
is-
remember those in our packet.
Yeah.
All right,
Good question?
moving on to future agenda items. Item A, election notices open in December. Who's up for election? I know I am.
Cindy, Jim Miller, and
Must be Randy or
no, Randy West.
Bill.
Oh, I just wrote it down too.
It wouldn't be Randy West.
I just put it on the website. Let me look on
Maybe
the
me.
website.
I think it's you. I think you and I are
Because I
together.
was last
Maybe.
It's almost gotta be Wayne.
Let's go with Wayne.
Wayne, Cindy.
All right, let's go with Wayne.
year. Wait, Wayne Miller? Or?
Yeah.
You got a 50-50 chance of being right.
Wayne, Jim, and
Me.
Cindy.
Okay. And then, the non-intent to run is also due in December. See Jody.
See me.
Or not.
And then we will have a fall sports report next month. Please. All right, any announcements?
The only other future agenda item that I would like to address, I know we've talked about it in the past, is the administrative eval.
Yep.
And we kind of put that off,
Oh, yeah,
then, because we said.
because we gotta do it in
fall,
December, yes.
So that we can have it put together, so that we can
And we ended up
do
doing
your
it in March,
evaluation in
but we
January,
did
like
say,
normal.
but didn't we say we wanted to, even though we're not gonna go with that WASB one,
We
we
want
wanna tweak it so
we
the
wanna-
questions make more sense,
build ourselves a new system.
more
yes.
applicable, yeah, deal, good idea.
So sometime during the next month or so,
Yeah.
we
Do we wanna
probably
do
should,
a committee meeting for that?
probably should.
What
I don't know what committee.
Remember when you talked about having an executive committee? That'd be a good one. Let's look and see what it'd be. I don't know, let's figure it out.
Okay.
Cause
Otherwise, we could just have
we're
a-
actually doing the evaluation in December?
No, I'm asking to
We should,
have a meeting so we can adjust our
Yeah, I
evaluation.
understand that, but we
We should-
have to, we do the evaluation
in December.
It's gotta be done by, or you'll have a special meeting in January,
right,
cause it's gotta be done by a certain date in January.
Right.
yes. So but remember, before there was a while where we were gonna do it to like every three, it was gonna be, we looked at the WASB model. Anyway, yes, so we should talk next month, and even if we just have a closed session and we all talk about it, maybe I can bring some sample questions, sample ideas.
I think that should be.
That's the way to do it, in the whole board. And then you guys can instruct Jody on what you want on to add, so that at the December, she can send them out like she did every December. Make sense?
So like a closed session type meeting?
Yeah, probably, yeah, I suppose. It's iffy, we'll see. Cause it's just for questions.
Yeah.
Session, but
No, as long as you're,
pizza,
oh, now you're talking.
alright. Any
Yeah.
other,
You're on pizza again?
any other
I'm done.
announcements?
I guess I wanted to just, say something about the girls volleyball, cause I don't think a bunch of you have went to a game yet, and I've been to several. And last week they played, Portage, who's a way bigger school than us. They beat them for the first time, I guess, ever.
Division two,
Huh?
Division two, they'd be a
Yeah.
Division two school.
And the week, or earlier in the week, they played Pittsville over and ended up, we lost to Pacelli here at home earlier in the year, so we had one loss. Well, Pittsville, beat Pacelli. And Pittsville had, I think they said 18 in a row they'd won now. And the girls, ended up beating them in the fourth game. They were behind 0-7 at the start of the fourth game, and came back and battled right up to the end and beat them. So there's a conference championship with us, Pacelli, and Pittsville,
Which was like 2 years ago.
and
With
we
Russell.
beat Pacelli 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And
Yep. And then Rochelle beat us, and then yeah,
no, we won it outright that year.
No.
we were
2 years
were
ago.
tri champions 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Last year we were.
Yeah, we've been co-champs with it.
Okay, I'm wrong there. But
And
Like
Pittsville, the last game that if you guys go online, you can watch the 26 point. We won 27-25. The 26 point that we scored, the girls were just amazing. I mean, there was probably 4 times that I can't believe they got the dig they got. You know, out of the wood, and still it was amazing.
But like I say, if any of you wanna go either, Thursday, or hopefully they're gonna play Saturday night, unless they screw up, we've got some, we've got a number of seniors. Kayla plays, Callie, Eastling, and McKenna, Rattler, they both, just in recent games, got 1,000 kills, or 1,000 hits, or 1,000, over their career. And it's just exciting to watch them. They're just, I don't know how they can, that ball coming that fast, and how they can react. And
Thanks. Jim.
They're young, Jim. That's
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
yeah, but Lee White and I were talking the other night. they're sitting and remembering back when we were in school and geez, volleyball's a little bit different back then.
A little. All of them are a little, all the sports are a little bit different.
I'll have just a quick comment too about the day of caring that was October 16th. It was phenomenal at the library. We had a whole bunch of students that came in and knocked out a ton of projects that would have taken us months to do. They knocked it out in a few hours, so it was greatly appreciated, and they did a great job.
Yay, Jamie. All right, moving on to setting meeting dates. Our meeting in November is
I think that.
right before Thanksgiving.
I don't
right?
think so, because normally we move it if it is, I think, remember Thanksgiving's super late this year, like the 28th?
26.
So I think we're the 20, oh, we are, yeah, we are the 26th.
Yeah.
Oh, there you have it.
Before Thanksgiving.
Is there school on Wednesday?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. All right, any other meetings that we want to schedule?
I'll figure out, do you want me to do a special meeting for the
26th.
evaluation stuff?
Yes. Do we want to do a special meeting about the evaluation
pizza?
with pizza?
I could send out 4
Well, it could get
dates.
long. So
Pardon me?
Yeah,
It could get long.
Yeah, we better eat.
Yeah.
do like a 5:30 to 7:30 and
Oh,
if
let's
it
see,
goes later, it goes
5.
later. 5 works, but Mark always likes to push it a little later. 5 is
Not-
really is.
Not before.
Does anything left when he gets here?
Yeah,
Not before about the 11th. We'll all,
when you're done with.
we'll all hope I'm gonna be getting a lot closer to done by the 11th.
That's fine.
So
We got time.
Okay, so do we want to set a date or do you want to send out?
Why don't I
some
send out 3
suggestions?
dates? And
Okay.
later in the week of that 11th work for me, so anytime in that.
Times about 5:30 to 7:30?
Yeah, I'll be gone probably. Well, maybe I could do it the 14th.
Well, do we want to just get the 14th on the calendar?
No, I'm going just for probably one.
Why don't we get the 14th hold the 14th on the calendar? Unless,
For everybody?
for the full board, it'll be a special meeting of the board.
November
guessing.
14th?
I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah.
We'll put it on there.
And this is to.
And we'll see.
For evaluation.
Discussion of,
Yeah.
yeah, eval, reval, that's good. Revamp.
He's got a library board meeting.
Of course,
Oh.
will the volleyball be over by then if they're playing at state?
Yeah.
Girls,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the state's the 9th, I believe.
Okay.
What about Tuesday the 12th?
Sure. I don't know.
I don't have my Are you gonna take notes? I'll be gone. I have AED meetings, that's at 5 to 8.
No, I have village board.
Okay,
Good thing you
19th,
Sir.
but are you back from up north?
Yeah, but I have another meeting for the village meeting.
20th?
Wednesdays are good.
Wednesday the 20th, maybe? Wednesdays are good, there's
The
no,
week of,
this is not
that
your
would
own.
be, that would be a week before Thanksgiving.
Yes,
That week, probably have family in town, but.
it's a week and a day
I can
before.
make
Thanksgiving.
I can make it work.
The
Wednesday the 20th.
The 13th is too early for you, Mark?
No, I can.
13th is the strategic planning for the community. You're out. 20th is my hold.
At
20th at 5 p.m. for supper. Does that work? 20, that's what you said, Wayne.
Well, I know, but
20th at 5, and I'll put 5 to 8 on the calendar, and I'll invite you all. Okay.
school board meeting.
Right.
What about sending out to all of us what the current thing you're doing, or that we've been doing,
Yeah,
so that we can refresh?
yeah,
on
yeah,
that?
yeah.
And if you got some ideas to send out too that we can
Yep.
think about?
Sure.
Good.
Good idea.
All right, at this time then, I guess we will kind of sort of adjourn and move into closed session.
We are?
Yep. So we will take, maybe 10 minutes
Oh,
or so.
shoot.
Need a
Yeah.
motion.
All those in favor?
I need a
Oh, we
motion.
need a
I
motion,
I
I'm
need a
sorry.
motion first. To move into closed session.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I emailed it, Jim, and reposted it. I forgot to have Cindy bring it to you. I apologize.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Chris did, or I did, one of us
Well,
did.
I put Bertie as the.
Oh, I'm sure.
Please second.
All right, we need a roll
Okay,
call
roll
vote.
call vote. Katie,
Yes.
Brady,
Yeah.
Jim, Wayne, Jim,
Yeah.
Mark, yes.
All right, we'll take 10 minutes.
Oh, how about one?
How about 3?
Okay.
Okay, fine. Let's do it right now.
3. So people can clear.
Alright, I'm gonna stop your recording.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Is there any candy?